Fruit sellers won't tell you this, but with just a quick glance, you can actually tell whether fruit will be sweet or bland. Hard to believe, right? In today's video, I'll reveal some super simple yet reliable tips to help you pick the very best fruit, from extra sweet watermelons and crisp, juicy apples to wonderfully fragrant pineapples. These are time-tested folk methods combined with insider tricks from longtime sellers, so anyone can use them right away. No more worrying about buying the wrong fruit. Let's start with how to pick a good watermelon. I'm going to share 6 easy and reliable tips for picking the perfect watermelon. So simple to remember and use, you'll be picking sweet, deep red, juicy melons every single time. You don't need to be an expert. Just check for these 6 signs on the outside of the melon and you'll know right away whether it's worth buying. Let's dive into it together, right from the very first minute. Are you ready? Let's go. 1. When choosing a watermelon, the first thing you should look at is the color of the rind. A naturally ripe watermelon usually has a deep green skin with a dull, matte finish, not shiny. This is a sign that the melon has matured fully, received plenty of sunlight, and is ready to enjoy. On the other hand, if the rind looks light green, glossy, or slightly gray, it's likely the watermelon is still young and hasn't developed its full sweetness. The flesh will taste bland, dry, and lack juiciness. Here's a simple tip. Choose melons with an even-colored rind that looks a little dull. These are usually naturally ripened, sweet, and full of juice. Watermelons like this aren't just delicious, they're worth every penny, and you won't feel like you got a bad deal. So don't be fooled by a shiny appearance. Look closely at the color of the rind to pick a truly high-quality watermelon for your family. 2. Another important tip for spotting a ripe and sweet watermelon is to check the bottom of the fruit, the part that rested on the ground while growing. If you see a deep yellow or slightly orange patch, that's a very good sign. This color indicates that the melon ripened naturally in the field, soaking up plenty of sunshine and nutrients from the soil, so the flesh will be sweet, juicy, and full of flavor. On the other hand, if the bottom spot is white or pale yellow, there's a good chance the melon was picked too early or hasn't fully ripened. The taste will likely be bland, dry, and lacking that rich watermelon flavor. So next time you're picking a watermelon, don't forget to flip it over and check the bottom. Go for the ones with a deep yellow spot. Those are usually the top contenders for a delicious summer treat. 3. Did you know that the vein patterns on a watermelon are also a sign for picking a sweet one? Typically, the surface of a watermelon has vein-like lines, similar to water ripples. So when choosing, pick ones with even, dark, thick, and clear lines. That's a sign of juiciness and strong sweetness. These crack-like lines form as the fruit grows and reaches an ideal water level inside, resulting in that sweet and juicy flavor. If the rind has no veins, or they're uneven, the fruit might be underripe or overripe, which affects its quality. 4. One way to choose a watermelon that almost everyone has tried is tapping lightly on the fruit. However, many women only tap it just for the sake of it, without actually knowing what the sound means. Now let me tell you, when checking a watermelon this way, use the palm of your hand to support one side of the fruit and gently tap the opposite side with your other hand. If you feel a clear vibration spread through the fruit, that's a sign the watermelon is ripe. But if you tap and don't feel any vibration, it's likely the melon is still unripe. You can also use your knuckle to tap. Listen closely to the sound. If it sounds like boong boong, the watermelon is just ripe, and it will taste sweet and crisp. If it sounds like thud thud, the melon is overripe. If you hear talk talk, that's a sign it's still green. In general, the deeper and more resonant the sound, the riper the watermelon. So from now on, whenever you tap on a watermelon, you'll have the secret trick in hand. No more tapping just for fun without knowing whether it's good or not. Another very simple way to choose a good watermelon is to use your hand as a scale to feel the fruit's weight. When you're at the market and trying to decide between two watermelons that are about the same size, not sure which one is sweeter, just use your hand scale to test. You can lift each one to compare. The one that feels heavier in your hand is usually juicier, has denser flesh, and is more evenly ripe. That's a clear sign the watermelon is sweet and tasty. But if a watermelon feels lighter than it looks, it's very likely to be dry, spongy inside, or not sweet. If the melons aren't too large, you can hold one in each hand at the same time to compare. The one that feels heavier and more solid is the better choice. This tip comes from experienced watermelon farmers. They can simply lift a fruit and tell which one is sweet without cutting it open. So next time you're at the market, just remember, big watermelons aren't always sweet. A small but heavy one is the one to pick. 6. Finally, don't overlook a small but very important detail: the navel at the bottom of the watermelon. This is the small round spot opposite the stem. If the navel is small and tightly closed, it's a sign that the watermelon is fully ripe, with evenly expanded flesh inside, which means the rind will be thinner and easier to eat. Watermelons like this usually ripen naturally, and they tend to be sweeter and juicier. On the other hand, if the navel is large, slightly swollen, or has an open gap, be cautious. It's very likely that the melon wasn't fully mature, or it may have been treated with chemicals to force it to ripen faster. These melons often taste bland, lack that signature aroma, and may even have a dry or mealy texture. So next time you're at the market, remember to take a close look at the navel before choosing. And there you have it, 6 little tips to pick the perfect watermelon. Don't just go by pretty skin or tap randomly like I used to. That method alone isn't reliable. A good watermelon is a combination of several factors, and you need to check carefully to pick the right one. Now let's cut open the watermelon I picked and see. Wow! Look at that deep red flesh. And the taste? It's truly sweet and delicious. So now you know how to pick a watermelon that's truly sweet. But what about pineapples? Just by looking at some points on the pineapple, you can immediately know whether it's sweet or not. No need to cut, no need to smell. Just looking is enough to know. From now on, no more wasting time peeling only to eat and find it not tasty. No more regretting money because you bought the wrong sour or bruised pineapple. Everyone likes pineapple. Fragrant, refreshing, and also helps digestion. But the most feared is buying a fruit that looks delicious, but inside is mushy, extremely sour, and the whole family dislikes it. Especially in this season, pineapples are sold everywhere in the market. People should know how to choose correctly, so it's both tasty, economical, and safe for the whole family to eat. Follow Tracy to try a few tips to tell apart sweet pineapple and unsweetened one, especially tip number 3. Not everyone knows it. But if you know this trick, you will definitely feel very confident every time you pick a pineapple. Now let's start with the first tip. Tip 1. Look at the skin color. The simplest way to pick a perfectly sweet and crispy pineapple. Don't rush to believe the seller just saying, "It's very sweet," because just by noticing the color of the skin, anyone can choose a pineapple that is perfectly ripe, crispy, sweet, and juicy. First of all, do you see this pineapple with a deep golden yellow skin all over? That's a clear sign it's fully ripe. The flesh will be soft, richly sweet, and have that signature tropical fragrance when you eat it. You can choose pineapples like this if you plan to enjoy them right away for the best flavor. But if you leave it sitting for another 2 to 3 days, it might become overripe, too soft, slightly pungent, and lose its natural sweetness. If the pineapple is too dark yellow or has brown spots, that's often a sign it's overripe or starting to spoil. It's best not to pick ones like that. As for pineapples that are completely green from top to bottom, they may look fresh, but in fact, they are unripe. Eating them will be very sour and hard, and can even cause mouth irritation. These are usually fruits picked too early. To eat them, you have to wait a few more days. If someone doesn't know and buys one like that to eat right away, it's bound to go to waste. So which one is the best? It's the ones with a mix of yellow and green, usually called perfectly ripe pineapples. These are often crispy, mildly sweet, juicy, and best enjoyed within 1 to 2 days. They're harvested on the right day and in the right way, so once peeled, the flesh is golden yellow, fragrant, and delicious to chew. The whole family will love them. Pineapple provides a high amount of vitamin C, helps fight oxidation, and boosts immunity, especially during changing seasons or when it's easy to catch a cold. That's why you should pay close attention to picking a good pineapple. Remember, skin color is the first secret to help you choose the right pineapple without wasting effort peeling it. Tip 2. Look at the pineapple eyes. A small trick. That's incredibly sweet. When picking a pineapple, have you ever noticed the small raised dots on the skin? Those are pineapple eyes. And just by looking at them, you can read the quality inside the fruit. If the pineapple eyes are sparse, evenly spaced, and large, this is a sign that the fruit has absorbed plenty of sunlight during its growth. Thanks to regular sunbathing, the pineapple will have golden yellow flesh, juicy texture, rich sweetness, and a wonderful aroma. One bite, and you'll instantly taste the natural sweetness spreading on your tongue. Especially, pineapple contains bromelain, a precious enzyme that helps the body digest protein better, reduces inflammation, effectively fights swelling, and boosts immunity. Eating pineapple the right way can also help clean the mouth and aid digestion after meals. On the other hand, if the pineapple eyes are dense, close together, and tiny, that's a sign the fruit lacked sunlight and developed poorly. This kind of pineapple usually tastes sharply sour, has little sweetness, low moisture, and gives a slightly bitter and sour feeling when eaten, is not tasty, and is also lower in nutritional value. So, next time you go shopping for pineapples, don't forget to carefully observe the pineapple eyes. Where are you from? In your area, is a pineapple easy to find? I'd love to hear your answer in the comments below. Tip 3. Look at the pineapple leaves. Instantly guess the sweetness and quality in just a few seconds. When choosing a pineapple, don't just pay attention to the color of the skin and the base. That's not enough. There is one detail on the pineapple that very few people know about, but it is extremely important. It's the cluster of leaves on top of the fruit. Just by looking at the leaves, you can already guess whether the pineapple is sweet and juicy or not. Pineapples with long, dark green, lush, and vibrant leaves prove that the plant was grown in good conditions, fully absorbing sunlight and nutrients from the soil. As a result, the fruit will be evenly large, meaty, richly sweet, and full of juice. Just one bite and you'll taste the deep sweetness that the whole family will love. On the other hand, if you see short, sparse, and slightly open leaves, with edges that may be rough or curled, that's a sign the pineapple is dehydrated and no longer fresh, so consider carefully. These fruits usually come from underdeveloped plants that lack nutrients, making them smaller, with less flesh, a bland taste, and dryness. Besides observing, you can use your hand to check the ripeness of the pineapple by gently pulling the center leaf. If this leaf comes out easily, it's a sign that the pineapple is perfectly ripe, fragrant, sweet, and juicy. On the contrary, if you have to pull hard to remove it, then the pineapple might still be unripe and could taste sour or have little juice. So next time you go to the market or supermarket, remember to look carefully at the leaves. With just one sharp glance, you can pick the sweetest pineapple that your whole family will adore. Tip 4. Look at the bottom stem, a secret to spotting fresh, sweet pineapple at first glance. Aside from the skin color, don't overlook the bottom stem of the pineapple, because this is also a clue that helps you recognize how fresh and sweet it truly is. A fresh and tasty pineapple will have a stem that's slightly dry, but still fresh and not moldy. These are usually just harvested fruits, retaining natural moisture. When cut open, the flesh is crispy, very sweet, juicy, and incredibly fragrant, truly worth every penny. On the other hand, if you notice the stem is green with mold, turning black, or damp, you should be cautious. This is a sign the pineapple has been stored too long, has lost moisture, or may even be rotten inside. Even if it looks appealing on the outside, once you cut it open, it's too late. Not only a waste of money, but also effort, peeling, washing, and no one wants to eat it. Thanks to strong digestive enzymes, pineapple helps your body absorb zinc, iron, and protein more effectively, especially after meat-heavy meals. It also works well to neutralize fishy smells. Here's another small tip. The smaller the stem, the smaller the core, which means you get more edible flesh. It's crispier, sweeter, and of course, a better deal. So every time you pick a pineapple, be sure to check the bottom stem carefully. Don't rush. Here, Tracy has 3 different pineapples. Now let's try cutting all 3 to test them out. You see, the 2 pineapples we compared earlier clearly have more golden flesh, while the other one looks much paler. Now let's taste a bit of each to see how they are. The first one tastes very sour, exactly like we pointed out earlier. The next one is juicier than the first. The flesh is soft, and it has a sweet taste, juicy with a slight tartness. That's exactly the flavor I like. Pineapple is low in calories, high in fiber, and water, making it very filling and perfect as a snack in weight loss diets. Additionally, pineapple contains anti-inflammatory compounds and potassium, which help improve blood circulation, lower blood pressure, and support heart health. Let's taste the last one, the one with the deepest yellow color. Tasting just a little bit, it's very sweet, with soft flesh like the previous one, and it's super juicy. And when I go shopping, I usually choose these 2 types. They're sweet and exactly the kind of flavor my whole family enjoys. So this proves that following those 4 steps can help you pick a pineapple that's sweet, ripe, and juicy. What could be better than enjoying a fresh, cool slice of pineapple on a hot, sunny day? So refreshing, right? If you want to cut pineapple beautifully without getting juice all over your hands, check out my previous video on this channel. I've already shared a great pineapple cutting method there. Now that we've covered pineapples, let's move on to apples. Do you know how to tell if an apple is sweet and crisp just by looking at it? It's easier than you think. Today I'll show you a few simple tips to spot the juiciest, most flavorful apples. No guessing, no biting, no wasting money. Once you learn this, you'll always pick the perfect apple at the store or market. If you're someone who often shops or picks fruit for your family, you definitely don't want to miss this. And at the end of the video, I'll share a bonus trick my grandmother used for keeping apples fresh for weeks. You won't want to miss it. Tip 1. Look at the apple's skin color to tell the difference. When choosing apples, the first thing we ladies should pay attention to is the color of the apple's skin. This is an easy and familiar sign to recognize. Still looking at the outside to choose, but this is the correct way. Apple skin contains quercetin, an antioxidant that helps reduce inflammation, strengthen the immune system, and prevent cancer. When buying apples, pay attention to apples with a mix of red and yellow skin, uneven coloring, and blotchy patches that look like they were painted by sunlight. That's a sign of naturally ripened apples that are juicy and sweet. On the other hand, apples with skin that's evenly red from top to bottom and shiny like it's been lacquered, be cautious. Those might be apples that were chemically treated, color-coded, or dyed. They're not only less tasty, but can also pose health risks. When eating, don't peel the apple unless necessary, because the peel contains more than 50% of the apple's antioxidants and fiber. Here's a small tip to safely enjoy the peel. Wash it with diluted salt water or apple cider vinegar to remove any leftover wax or pesticides on the skin. That way, you can enjoy the whole apple with peace of mind. Remember, when picking apples, you don't need the peel to be perfectly colored. The more natural, the better. Don't just pick apples that look good. Pick the ones that are truly right to bring sweet and healthy fruit to your family. Tip 2. Observe the striped patterns on the apple's skin. One of the very simple ways, but not many people notice, is to look at the vertical striped lines on the apple's skin. In fact, many people are often drawn to apples with smooth, shiny skin. They may look beautiful, but aren't always delicious. Tasty, sweet, and crisp apples are usually the ones with clearly defined red and yellow striped patterns. These stripes are a sign that the apple ripened naturally under sunlight, without chemical treatments, so it retains a light, sweet flavor, crisp texture, and lots of juice. Not only are they delicious, but apples with lots of striped patterns are also rich in pectin, a type of soluble fiber that supports digestion, nourishes good gut bacteria, and reduces bad cholesterol, LDL, which is especially good for older adults. On the other hand, apples with smooth, shiny, and evenly colored skin may look pretty, but they are often coated with wax or haven't been exposed to enough sunlight. As a result, they taste bland, have less juice, and don't deliver the rich flavor you'd expect. So, don't rush to pick the apples that look the most glamorous. Look for apples with natural red and yellow stripes. Though rustic in appearance, they hold a sweet and wholesome taste inside, delicious and good for the whole family's health. And hey, Tracy would really love to know, where are you watching this video from? It's such a joy to know that we're connecting from all around the world. Leave a comment below so we can connect, care for each other, and share lovely things every day. Tip 3. Use your hands to feel the apple's skin. Now it's time to use your skillful hands to pick a good apple by gently feeling the skin. Apples with slightly rough skin, not too smooth, are usually the kind that has been fully sun-ripened, which helps them accumulate more natural sugars, making them sweeter, more fragrant, and crisp. On the other hand, if the apple's skin is too smooth and shiny, it may be sour or bland, and less juicy. These apples are often selected for their pretty appearance rather than their flavor. Also, you should avoid apples with black spots or unusual rough patches, as these are signs the fruit has been bruised or has started to spoil. They won't keep well and may even affect the quality inside. Just a light touch is all it takes to choose a sweet, wholesome apple that's good for your health. Tip 4. Look at the apple stem to check for freshness. The next thing to notice when choosing a good apple is whether the apple is fresh. When buying apples, you should observe the stem area of the fruit. This is the part that connects the apple to the tree branch, where nutrients are transferred from the branch into the fruit. If the stem is still light green and fresh-looking, it means the apple was recently picked and has retained its crispness, juiciness, and natural sweetness. On the other hand, if the stem has turned yellow or dark brown, it's likely that the apple has been sitting around for a while, has lost moisture, and is less crisp and less flavorful. Eating apples can help control weight thanks to their high fiber content and low calories. Apples help you feel full longer, making them suitable for healthy dieting and weight loss. Just imagine slicing up a plate of apples and taking that first bite, only to find it mealy and bland. How disappointing would that be? So remember to take a quick glance at the stem to pick out a fresh, sweet, and delicious apple. Tip 5. Check the belly button of the apple. Besides the skin and the freshness at the stem, there's another small detail that's well worth noticing, and that is the belly button at the bottom of the apple. At first glance, it might seem unimportant, but actually, it reveals a lot about the apple's flavor and inner quality. If the belly button is small and shallow, it's the type of apple that growers jokingly call male apples. These usually have firmer flesh, less juice, and a slightly tart taste, perfect if you prefer crisp and dense apples. On the other hand, if the belly button is large and deeply indented, that's a female apple. This type usually has a rounder shape, juicier flesh, and a much sweeter flavor. This is the kind of apple many people love, because it brings a cool, pleasant feeling when eaten. So, when picking apples, don't forget to gently flip the bottom up and look for ones with a large, deep belly button. That's a sure sign of a sweet, juicy apple that also nourishes your body. Tip 6. Weigh it by hand to feel how juicy it is. The final way to pick a delicious apple is to weigh it by hand. When holding two apples of similar size, choose the one that feels heavier. The heavier the apple, the higher its water content, meaning the flesh will be juicy, crisp, and sweet. On the other hand, if the apple feels lighter, it's likely due to moisture loss during storage. Inside, it will be dry and mealy, not as tasty. Additionally, you can bring it close and give it a gentle sniff. Fresh, perfectly ripe apples usually have a mild, pleasant fragrance. If the smell is too strong, with a bit of a fermented scent, the apple is likely overripe and won't keep long, so only buy it if you plan to eat it the same day. As I promised at the beginning of the video, now I'll show you the secret I learned from my grandmother to keep apples fresh for weeks. Start by sorting through the apples and removing any that are bruised or damaged. One bad apple can really spoil the bunch. Wrap each apple individually in paper towels or newspaper to absorb excess moisture. Then, store them in a perforated plastic bag or a breathable container in the crisper drawer of your refrigerator. Make sure to keep apples away from other fruits like bananas, since bananas release ethylene gas, which can cause apples to ripen and spoil faster. This simple method does a wonderful job of preserving their flavor and texture. With just a few small tips, we can confidently pick sweet, juicy apples that are truly good for the whole family's health. But don't stop there. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's absolutely true. Because the many nutrients in apples not only support easier digestion, but also gently aid in weight loss, naturally beautify the skin, and help protect a healthy heart, something we all care about, especially us women after the age of 45. I hope these tips bring more joy and confidence to you. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend or someone in your family who might enjoy it too. And don't forget to leave a comment. I'd love to hear your favorite apple tips or how you keep your fruits fresh at home. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon with more easy, wholesome ideas just for you.